All right, welcome to SIG network meeting. Please add whatever you add here. We'll start with the webs. There are no new webs, and we have been discussing the existing ones for like the last 3 turns. And I think the DRA web was the one which merged recently. So I might be moving it to the existing webs. Just let me know if you want to discuss any of the webs in details. Otherwise, I'll move over to the next. Moving on to the issues. We have the first one, which is VM with Mac VTAP and hot pluggable volumes failed to start. Okay. Or you want to talk about it?
Comment?
Mm-hmm.
There is a PR to handle this issue. The author of this issue also authored the PR. Eddie had some feedback on this PR, but I need to look at it from the SIG compute point of view, actually, not from the SIG network point of view.
Mac VTAP is a binding plugin, right?
Right.
Okay. Next we have the issue about the injected interface not being persisted into the VM spec from the VMI, and it has a related PR by Orel.
Yes, the PR had some comments. I need to get back to it and try to see if we get some traction.
Can you describe a little bit more about it? I mean, I did not review it. Is it not a network PR?
It is a network PR. It's about the fact that when we create a VM without interfaces or networks, then the VMI gets a pod network connected to some default binding. It could be a masquerade or bridge, whatever the cluster-wide default is, and you get the pod network. So it creates asymmetry between what the VM has and what the VMI has in terms of our VM controller, which tries to do, like hot plug or unplug, network reference live update, these sorts of things. So this PR tries to backfill, like to take the interfaces and networks from the VMI and put them back into the VM. But there was feedback from Felix and maybe Lobo, if I remember correctly, about it not being compatible with GitOps. But we do have precedents for other features that works like this. For example, the UUID.
So do you suggest that are you missing reviews right now, or?
I need to understand what is exactly the problem with GitOps because I don't have enough experience with it, and understand how can we move forward with this.
From what I understood from Felix's and other comments, also I think on the web about the MAC addresses by Ram, what they're telling is like the VM spec should reflect what the customer or the user had specified, and we should not be adding anything back to it, but we do it for, like you said, the UUID and also for the Mac.
I think I understand the objection with respect to GitOps. because it creates a difference between the manifest as the customer requested uh, and has logged in its in his Git repository, and all of a sudden there's a diff, and he did not request that, so it's a problem.
Okay. Well, um, it's like things that were not. Why this? What caused the real problem? Like if you change the default in the cluster in the CR, then you will reboot, and then what? Because
For
both of them are
example,
using the, if I'm not mistaken, what is the scenario?
yes, for example, you can change the default binding from bridge to masquerade or vice versa or past, and then it changes the guest's network configuration for one example. There were several examples, but they are written in the issue, so I don't need to, query them from my memory.
Yeah, but this is real or is this just
Oh, this is
what
real.
is?
We've talked about it several weeks ago. The fact that a month passed means that I don't really remember all the details, but it's all written here.
Okay, in general, I think the default, the problem is the default. So I will consider just going back and just maybe we should drop it, like deprecate it or something like that. That's one option, or find an
Drop what?
alternative. To drop the default, not to have this default thing.
Can we do it like it's a G8 feature, I think, forever?
No, but we can. Yeah, you can do it without. I mean, you cannot kill it, but you can say not recommended for usage, and then I don't have to take care of this one, right? Logically, I mean, if I'm saying we reach a conclusion that using that default is not a good idea, it causes problem like this one. In order to avoid this problem, we suggest to configure it in a specific way and do not touch it, or not configuring it at all, and then it will behave in this way, and that's it. And it should not be changed. So that will mean that we we do not recommend changing the default anymore. And if someone wants to use something else, then they will have to define it explicitly or something. But you need to check if it's possible or what is the alternative to do so.
Is the expectation to change like the documentation or
Yes,
just announce?
so for example, I know on some downstream project, this is already done. Like it doesn't use the default anymore. It uses it explicitly. It's, so if I not remember, it was they found out that this is causing other problems. So what happened was that if someone created a VM using the UI, I think, or something like that, then they would just add it explicitly if it was not mentioned. Something like that. I don't remember the details, but plan to say that default configuration is deprecated. We suggest not to use it, and instead do this and this and this. That I think that's a better idea, considering that most of the it's not assured that there are so many users that are using the primary network as well. So I think this should be reevaluated in this sense, not to do crazy stuff. Like I think the idea of using the MAC address or all kind of parameters that probably are very important to keep. That's one thing. This one, it feels like it's in the middle. Like I could have lived without this default in the first place. Like if it was not there, right?
So if I think of what we need to do in terms of moving forward, we need to send an email to QVRDev to tell people, hey, this thing is not recommended anymore, documented in the user guide, and is there anything else that you think we should do?
No, I think there needs to be some work to consider the consequences, like, and to, if there are consequences, what are the recommendation to mitigate it? Like, you cannot deprecate it without saying what is your suggestion to do something else, right? Something like that. I hope you understand what I mean. For example,
Yeah,
I'm just giving an example. You could say that you, in order to mitigate this problem, you should deploy a policy mutation admission, and that will add, if there is a missing interface, we will add it, something like that. You need a mitigation here to solve the problem.
yes, good idea.
But I'm not saying that was the solution, right? I'm just saying you need to we need a plan how to tackle it.
I'll take care of it. I wrote it to myself.
Yeah. And we do need to take, if we have examples of downstream usages, we should consider them as well, because they are like our users, part of our users.
Yes, and we also need to consider end-to-end tests in other SIGs that may be using this configuration.
Yes, yes. For example, yeah. Anyway, I think we consumed the time on this enough. But yes, what you said.
Okay, thank you. Before moving on to the other issues, I see Anish is here. Do you want to discuss your web about the bandwidth?
Yes. So, so the update is we have moved the web to be as an abstraction layer for the secondary networks. So the use case that I have found till now is, like, suppose you want to implement three network bases that can be dev, prod, or something XYZ, and each network base needs different bandwidths. Let's suppose for dev-based network, you need three bandwidth controls, like 50 mi, 100 mi, and 150 mi. So like that, if you want to do to all the base network, you will need to have, let's suppose, different files. Like, let's suppose in my example, I have three base networks, and for each base network I have three tiers. So like I will have to manage 9 files. So what the idea is, like, the user only creates the base network, and based on what the parameter it passes uh, to the, let's suppose, the ML API or something, I can just have an abstraction layer and create the file on top of that base to maintain to create the speed tiers and all. So yeah, only only this. And this is only for secondary networks. So primary one is still yet to be decided.
So I think one of the points that were raised before was that it is very hard to see I mean, this is competing with an existing solution already, and it's not clear why this one is needed. Like, given that we are able to create a network attachment definition and define these specifics there, and it will just work. It's not clear why we need it to be added to Covert API when it's external.
Mm, so should I, like, for now, close the web or something like?
I'm not sure what did you say? Sorry, I didn't hear that.
So like I think then the web is still not required. So should I just close it or something?
That's up to you. I don't know where do you want to go with this, but in general, the current, if I'm not mistaken, the current proposal is to define this on the API of the VMI or the VM, doesn't matter, and then it will propagate to the. It's supposed to propagate somewhere, but it's not clear where it will propagate because this field specifically will cannot be added to the CNI, for example, if I'm not mistaken. Or can they? I'm not sure, but the solution already exists that you can define them on a network attachment definition and then reference from the secondary network. Like instead of seeing this bandwidth here, you will set it in my bridge NAT in this case that we are seeing here. And then every interface that is using that network attachment definition will consume this all these bandwidth parameters. So if that one sounds good to me at least, and more or less it is like what you see here. So it's not clear to me why that is not good enough. If you think if there is no other reasoning, I think yes, you could summarize it like that, and then you can close it. But unless you have other reasoning for having this one.
Yeah, sure, I will look into it.
Thank you. Moving on with the issues. We have the one where our, what's it called, network hot plug and unplug are not being gated by the VM rollout strategy. So summary of this is, if you do not have the VM rollout strategy set to live migrate or something, even then migration is like triggered in case of hot plug and unplug, but that does not happen, and you need to manually restart the VMs anyways. So it's a bit confusing if you have a live migration required status on the conditions and you need to restart or something similar. There's no PR attached to it. I wanted to look into it, but I did not get to it.
Yeah, so this one, as the issue states, was done purposefully and because they wanted to continue supporting the in-place hot plug and unplug. So changing it will be a breaking change. There was a mailing list thread about this issue. No one commented there. So I guess like people either don't have opinions or are not interested in that.
I don't understand what was intentional.
We don't obey the flag that was written here because we had support for in-place hot plug prior to the introduction of this flag. And the network hot plug and unplug flow was not like a child of this configuration.
But I remember we were supposed to align to this.
We need to, yes, we now, when we opened this issue a month ago, we said that we want to align with this configuration and that it will be a breaking change. So we've posted an email on the Cover Dev mailing list. No one answered. So probably people don't have opinions on it.
Yeah, but I'm surprised that we didn't fix it at that time. Like I remember this was raised then, like a year ago or something. And I thought we fixed it. Like we did comply to this. I'm surprised a little bit. But yes, I think we should do the breaking change, and then but it needs to be raised with I think it needs to be synced with the other approvers. It needs to be escalated. Although you send that email, that I think it's a good start, I will still want to hear their opinion. Like maybe in the PR that if a PR is sent, then maybe ask them to give some feedback. Or if you don't want to create, if we don't want to create a PR now, maybe to get the feedback from them to see the opinion before we go forward with this.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Thank you.
And there was another one, by the way, right? Or
It's the next one. The other
really?
flag that controls the behavior, I think. You mean this one, no?
Yeah, the dependency of a dependency. Yeah, okay, yes. This is actually not only network, this is generic. Why is it under our talk? It's actually a compute thing.
Yes, let's raise it on Wednesday.
Yeah, but I think all these types of in this era, these types of issues should not be. I will prefer that I'll see PRs doing it and not issues. It's like no need to discuss it unless you want to escalate it and say there was a disagreement and we need to decide what to do. Like I'm not sure that that opening the issue is more expensive than fixing it.
Yeah, we can do it on the day we did it, like the two of us opened 3 issues simultaneously.
Okay, moving on to the PRs. Aurel, do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, sure. So currently we have a package that contains both the privileged and the unprivileged network setups. And this PR suggests to separate the unprivileged part to a dedicated package.
It's a refactor. I don't understand.
Yes, it's a clean refactor. It's moving of code from one directory to another.
Thank you. I will take a look at least by Friday. Nir, do you want to talk about the IPv6s?
Yes, very much. So this is the first PR, and there's another PR that's based on it. The problem is that we have actually a quite serious problem in IPv6. In IPv6, we have we've seen pods where the interface is auto-configured because the bridge is set to auto-configuration, and in IPv6, using the Slack protocol, the interface may configure itself with an IP automatically. And this is not good for us because in IPv6, since we do not support DHCP6, this necessarily causes a difference between the guest IP and the pod IP. And so the next PR actually removes that IP from the cache so that it will not appear in the status and not give report basically a false IPv6 address where the guest cannot be reached at. And the previous PR, I see that you moved to the next one, the previous PR, which is the one that, can you scroll up a little just to make make sure that it's this one here. So this PR basically prepares all the tests to the next PR, because many tests were failing after I made the code change, because many tests assume that the pod IP is equal to the guest IP, or actually to the status IP. And what this PR does is it removes it. If the IP is IPv6, it does not require that the status IP and the pod IP would be equal. So that's the preparation. It basically distinguishes between IPv4 and IPv6 when making assumptions on the pod IP versus the VMI status IP. So I would really appreciate reviews for this one, because we need it in order to fix a quite critical bug.
Thank you. What do we have next? This is the DRA PR based on the DRA web by Oshaval.
Is it ready for review? I didn't understand from if it was ready or not.
I saw a ping from him this morning that this was ready for review.
Oh, well, did you understand from him if it was ready for review or not?
Yes, it is ready for review. I reviewed the prerequisite, and the prerequisite is approved. Now we need to review this one as well.
Is it a SIG? Does it require root approver, or is it just SIG network? SIG control plane.
The
SIG
compute
build system, so
AI.
it will need a root approver anyway, right?
Yes, it will need, but you know, the goal of reviewers is to help the approvers approve faster.
Yeah, of course, and I think that it's essential that we review the network areas especially. I will review it.
Thank you. The next one is, Oren, you want to talk about this?
So this one is about adjusting the istio tests to use the past core binding instead of the past binding plugin. It's a very straightforward PR. I would appreciate it if Eddie could have a look.
What is this?
To change istio from past binding plugin to core past binding.
Istio?
Yeah, we have
Ah.
The
istio test.
Istio end-to-end test, currently they use the binding plugin, and after we moved it to the core, it doesn't need to use the binding plugin.
But you removed it. How can?
No, we did not remove it.
But you removed the test.
I did not remove the Istio test.
Didn't you remove the end-to-end test of the plugin, the past binding?
Let's be clear. We have actually 3 tests where past is being used. The first test is binding plugin underscore past. That one has been removed. The second one is the Istio test. The Istio test is comprised of both masquerade binding and past binding plugin together with Istio. That one has not been removed, and that's what OL changed now from binding plugin to core. And we have the last one, which is binding plugin.go, which also tests binding plugin generically, but it actually uses the past binding plugin there. And I think that that's the last place where it remains.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Any items for the open floor? Otherwise, thank you all for joining. Have a nice day.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.